I'm a professional software designer, software developer, software engineer, and I'm also the director of ICT in the University of Juba. I was told to come and facilitate this program to see how it is going to run. This training is going to be like a technical training, which require the trainers to be online and you people are going to be on the ground. So we will start by just simple introduction, which we have already done, and we will not be introducing all of you once again. What is going to happen is that we will have only one person, the official invited guest of today, Mr. Peter Guy, who is from Corporation Communication and PR from Inter-University Council of Eastern Africa. He is going to be with us, who is going to officially open our program today, and then we'll have to start the program. The trainers are going to be online. You will be interacting with them. They are going to be also looking at you with the camera available. With the technology Zoom, it's going to be possible that you people will be asking questions during the training. And then we wish you like all the best. If there's anything that you will be asked to do, then the technical person will assist you to make sure that your points are taken to the trainers, and then you are also heard from what you want to express. If there's any technical issue, this is going to be online. We will have to apologize in advance, and we have to just push until the program is done. I'll be coming time to time. I will not be available with you all day. And also Mr. Peter is also going to open our program, and he will also be leaving. So we will wish you all the best as we are about to invite one of the trainers. I don't know who is available. Mr. Barbara, are you getting us?
Thank you so much, Angela John. We got you very right. And from our end, we would like to welcome first Dave Awimbo. Dave Awimbo is the WINS Global Representative. I think he will come first, then from there, it will be back to Peter Guy from DskillsEA. Then we can now proceed with the training. So if you can allow, you can welcome Dave Awimbo.
All right, okay. Can we begin by inviting Mr. Peter to give us a few remarks as the
Good morning.
Good morning, Dave.
Okay. My name is David Awimbo. I am the lead coordinator in terms of this project that is running currently in a number of countries. This is through the Digital East African Industry, Digital Skills for East Africa, which is a follow-up of training that was earlier initiated through the Center of Excellence for ICT in East Africa. These have been through some short courses for upskilling trainees towards advancing the digital transformation. In this phase, there has been 3 sets of specific packages, and these ones are one in which you are now on the one which you are training through. This is for the digital skills for universities transformation towards quality education experience. We have another one which is also to follow through, which is a training in data analytics, visualization, and narrative generation for unemployed graduates, which who are looking to advance their knowledge towards market-oriented skills for greater prospects. And that will soon be followed by another one, which is training in digital marketing and e-commerce for business expansion. This is just to give you an overview what is also going on together with this particular one. We'd just like to welcome you all and wish you all the best. We are under a group called WINS Global Consults, who are now working, contracted by the GIZ.
Are you getting us?
Yes, we are
Hello?
getting. Yes, we are getting.
Okay.
All right. Okay. We are going to hand over the mic to Mr. Peter, who is the official Cooperation Communication Officer and PR in the Office of the International University Council of Eastern Africa. Mr. Peter will be invited to give us few remarks.
Okay. All the best.
Thank you so much, the moderator,
Just before you proceed, I'm
the
wondering whether you
facilitators online, and those who are with us in the room. I hope those who are online can hear me well.
We can hear you very well,
Hello?
but however, do you also hear us very well?
Yes, I can hear you well, yes.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
Carry on.
To begin with, let me start with a brief introduction. I'm Peter Guy. I work for Inter-University Council for East Africa. IUCA is an institution of East African community, and our headquarters is in Kampala, Uganda. We have members university in South Sudan, that is University of Juba, Catholic University of South Sudan, University of Barghazal, Rumbek University. We have Dr. John Memorial University that joined the IUCA this year, and Star International University. So these universities are members universities of IUCA. This skills project is actually a project that is implemented by IUCA and GIZ. Actually, this project is an innovative East African industry skill. It's part of German Technical Development Cooperation with the East African community. And the project aim is actually to build the capacity, a digital skill of young people in the region. And so far, several were conducted in other partner states of East African community. South Sudan, now I think is the seventh state that is having this training. You know, as you are aware, East African community comprised of 8 countries, and that is the Republic of South Sudan, Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania, Burundi, DRC, and Somalia. So these are Somalia is the youngest member of the community. And I hope after this training, the next country will be Federal Republic of Somalia. So the focus of this project is to build the capacity of the staff of our members universities in the region, because now technology is advancing, and there are some skills that lecturers and administrative staff of various universities need to know to facilitate training or teaching within the region. It's very important that our members universities are participating in this training. But when members were introducing themselves, I think there's no one from Star International University here, or there's someone here. So I hope in the next training, all our members universities in South Sudan are going to be involved, because at the end of the day, we want lecturers and supervisors who are teaching, who are training young people to have knowledge on digital skill, on how to operate these gadgets. So I brought you greetings from Executive Secretary, Professor Gaspard Benyankimwana. He is the Executive Secretary of Inter-University Council of East Africa. He was unable to come, but he delegated me to be here with you. Actually, I'm supposed to be here with Professor Robert Mayom, the Vice Chancellor of University of Juba, who is also the chair of the Executive Committee of Inter-University Council of East Africa. Last month, we had a conference here in Juba that took place at the Imperial Plaza Hotel, where all our members, 150 members University of IUCA, were here in Juba for 3-day conference, and most of the BCs from the 5 universities in South Sudan who are members of IUCA were there. And in that conference, Professor Robert was actually elected as the chair of the executive committee of Inter-University Council for East Africa. So I take this opportunity to encourage lecturers from South Sudan to, get, there are some opportunities which also IUCA are giving to members universities. For example, we have what is called staff mobility program. If you are a lecturer at University of Juba or University of Bargadal or Upper University, you can choose another university. You can go and lecture in Makerere or University of Nairobi or University of Dar es Salaam for 3 months or 4 months. And we facilitate that. And that is actually for regional integration. So these opportunities are there. Even if you go to our IUCA website, you will be able to see that and see the criteria for you to apply. And from there, you also share your knowledge with the community in the Eastern Africa. The community is growing, and therefore, this regional integration is very important for our growth in the community. I take this opportunity to thank the facilitators of this training. I wish all of you the best in this particular training. And I know at the end of the day, you're going to get more skills on how to train others as university administrators. Because now through technology, there's also AI, artificial intelligence. So it's very important. Even other universities now are now trying to offer that course as a course. So these are very important skills that we need to know in order to facilitate our learning and our training. So I'm a citizen from Republic of South Sudan, but I work with East African community. I'm based in Kampala. Thank you so much. I'm going to be here with you for some minutes, and then thereafter, I will be following the training also as well. Asante sana. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Peter, for these nice words you have given to us. We are not going to have too much extension of words or maybe speeches. I think our program is open official.
Hello, Dennis. We seem to have lost you. Dennis? Dave, are you able to get Dennis?
No, it's off.
Oh, it seems they
It just went off.
may be having some technical issue. Okay, let's give them a few minutes.
It seems like. And I suppose on that note, I'll also have to be leaving. I'll let you people to go on with it.
Okay.
Because I'm also making my travels.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm traveling just shortly. Okay. But I'll be keeping in touch with things as they go.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, okay. All is well. On best.
Thank you so much, Dave. And I don't know whether we can be heard from the side.
No, they have a technical challenge. They have gone off. So we can, maybe you can reach out to David Cook, Duke.
Nitafunga hii njia. Hizo ndio vitu tulikuwa nataka kufanya.
Kindly give us like 5 minutes, we'll get back to you. Please, so, Mr. Peter, you can begin, you can start.
Mr. Peter, you can take over.
Hello, Peter, are you able to get us? Hello? Hello, Peter, are you able to get us? He has muted. Hello, Peter. Hello, Peter, are you able to get us? Hello, Peter, are you getting?
Yes, Dennis, we can now get you, and seems like we have are we? Dennis, if you're talking, you do drop out. Introductory comments and Dave Awimbo that they gave. And at this particular point, just before we start the presentation, allow me to introduce myself and give a chance also to my colleague to introduce herself. Then we can now proceed with today's session. My name is Peter Kiprotich, and I work in a university in Kenya called Maseno University. I teach in School of Education, Educational Technology. I also work at the e-campus of Maseno University, where it is a center where they digitize content and help also facilitate that particular content. At this particular point, I would also wish to give this chance to my colleague, Barbara, to mention her name, then we can now proceed with the session.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Barbara Kavugwi Mahaya. I'm an e-learning systems support specialist from Maseno University. I'm stationed at the e-campus, which is the center for digital learning at the university. So my main responsibilities are managing the platforms. So I manage the online learning platforms. I also carry out capacity building for both instructors and learners in empowering them in the use of the various e-learning deployed tools that we have. We've been running e-learning for the last 14 years now. No, sorry, 13 years now. Both full e-learning and blended learning. So we have that experience of having multiple approaches of delivering learning. So I'm happy to be part of this training, and I'm expecting a great experience with you this 1 week. Thank you.
So thank you so much, Barbara. And to you all, I think now we are at the point where we are all seeing the slides that are projected. I just need a confirmation from us on the ground. Hello? Are we able to see the PowerPoint slides projected?
Yeah, yes, we can see it.
Yes, yes. So the way our training are scheduled, we will be having just 2 hours of online session every morning. Then beyond that, we have now interaction on the online spaces, and we will be introduced to these online spaces later on. We also have support WhatsApp group. Some of us have already joined the WhatsApp group, but others are still yet to join. So we urge those ones who have not yet joined the WhatsApp group, kindly do so. The link is already shared. I think for those members who are already on WhatsApp group, kindly share with other members from your institution so that they are able to join, so that we are able to share also some bit of other resources and guidance on the WhatsApp space. So I think other than this, I would like us now to focus on the training. Now, one of the key concepts that we have in this training, we have divided the training into two tracks. The first track will focus on the faculty. The first one is actually on the course design. Then it is followed by technology, of course, design on Moodle, working with Moodle. Then beyond that, we have also multimedia, and then how to facilitate online. So we will be going through this training until the end of the week, where we'll be focusing on each every day. So we also have a different track that we will be bringing in, which is meant to implement digital learning ecosystem within our institution of learning. So we'll just begin with building a digital ecosystem, ACD 001, then automating university. Then we will also be looking at digital libraries in the modern age. So with this, it will give us a different perspective of digital learning within our institution. And I think now our session today was particularly meant for us to focus more on course design. So what is course design? So this is something that us as faculty we majorly done for quite some time. And generally it includes developing of learning outcomes, creating of engaging learning activities, and assessment. And sometimes it is done at the department level, but whenever we come to developing it online, it requires us to think about many perspectives of it. But another terminology that we'll be looking at today is digital learning, and it involves instructional practice that make effective use of technology. And in this particular case, we are talking about technology in terms of the devices, or technology also in terms of the software that they use. So in many institutions, this is already implemented. Some call it virtual learning, e-learning, online learning. What do you call it in your institution? So there's a name that is attached to it. But for us to be able to work around these digital technologies, we as a faculty and the support people, there are key competencies that we should develop. And these competencies are now what is going to make us be able to implement these teaching and learning technologies within our institution. As a faculty is required to have digital literacy skills. Digital literacy skills to be able to use learning management systems. The skills to be able to create content and upload it on a technology platform. The skills also to be able to collaborate with learners on a digital space. The ability also to use technology to support learning, pedagogical knowledge skill. The skill also to be able to use technology to deliver the curriculum. And the way it normally happens is that we are given curriculum from the department, and you're told you will be teaching this course online. And for you to be able to teach that course online, you need to find a way in which you're able to map what technology will be able to help you deliver that curriculum. We are also required to use technology to create assessment and evaluation, and be able also to get feedback or relay feedback to the learners using these technologies. So this skill is something again that is required of you as faculty. Other than this, you are also required to facilitate communication, collaboration, get feedback from the learners, and even support them, including troubleshooting when there's an issue. When there's an issue, you need to be able to help your learners be able to solve basic technical skills that they might be able to face. There could be also learners with special needs in your class. You need to be able to use technology to create learning for them and be able also to meet those diverse needs using technology. So looking at all this landscape, it needs kind of a new perspective to the skills building that we need. So I think if you look at number 5, professional development. We are also required to understand these ways in which we can be able to build up these skills, the competencies that are required, and to remain current. Recently, you've seen the spark of artificial intelligence, and with the spark of similar disruptive education technologies that will come in future, you need to stay current. And so part of the skill is that you need to be able to build your skill and remain relevant. Now, if we look at these skills that we're talking about, we can categorize them into 5 areas. One is the information literacy, the one we talked about, be able to navigate, search for information, and store them. The second one, communication and collaborating with the students and learners, yes. And then not only communication and collaborating, but also to understand ways in which you can be able to manage learners online. And then thirdly, creation of digital content. We need to be able to learn the tools for creation, but not only learning the tools, we also need to learn how to develop content which aligns very well with the copyright issues, with the licensing issues. And fourthly, we need also to understand the landscape that we are working on, the online landscape, security. How are we able to secure our devices, secure our learners, and even us and our data while we are online? Problem solving, another key critical areas. And to be able to identify technological needs and respond to them whenever they arise. And the resolution of problems normally arise with your class when you're with your students. You should be able to to create solutions in technologies, and that include troubleshooting and so forth. Looking at all these digital skills literacy that we are mentioning, this particularly focuses on you alone. But are there measures that institution can put in place to be able to ensure that its faculty or technical support are provided with these technologies? So we have a framework called Digital Digicomp Edu framework from European Union. And this framework has already thought out about the faculty. It has already talked out about the educators' professional competencies and categorized it into 6 areas. The first area is professional engagement, which talks about those 5 areas that we saw in the last slide. Then other than that, they focus more into digital resources where they build the capacity of the educators on how to select, create, and modify content. Then from this particular point, they are also taught how to create assessment strategies. And on the 3rd stage, it talks about the faculty to be able to teach the guidance, the collaborative, the self-regulated learning activities that you are able to work it out with your learners. And on the 5th stage, you should be able also to bring your learners to the same level, and that means building the capacity of learners to have also technologies that you will be teaching on. And it also includes training learners with diverse needs, those learners which also need the special learners that you need to be able to help out. Then on the last stage, it really focuses on the students only. So at the institutional level, we also need to be focusing on the students because you're using technology. Are the students also prepared how to use this technology? So there is facilitated learners digital competency that you need to focus on. So looking at all this landscape, this is the landscape that European Union are using across the region. And I would say we need also to domicile such kind of a framework or build one for USEA, Inter-University Council of Eastern Africa. And even as we think about it, there could be institutions which have already gone ahead and developed. So as your institution put in place such mechanism to build the capacity of staff in your university. So that is the critical question that that we need to think about. So looking at those competencies that you just mentioned, are there some competencies that you think you also need to build? So if you can take your phone and go to Mentimeter, so just an interactive, small interactive task. So I want you to take your phone, just go to Mentimeter. I need to stop sharing and then I share another screen. Yes. So you can see the screen I've just shared right now. So right there, I want you to enter the code. And on the ground, Ruth Kulang, you can help me out. Those who will need support. So you go to menti.com, menti.com, and then it will ask you for a code. Then you enter this code. So, okay. So I'm hoping that you're already there, menti.com. Okay, it's already also on your WhatsApp. For those who are already on WhatsApp, you can just click on it. And it will take you straight there. So I would like to hear something from participants. Are you getting them? Menti.com. Are we there? I've not yet got any response, so you just type in. Yeah. So we are giving ourselves 1 minute to be able to do this. I'm giving ourselves 1 minute. Just enter menti.com and then you enter this code from where it will ask you for the code. What you will get is this question here. Then you type in the competencies that you want to build. Who has already done so? Somebody who has already completed. Somebody who has already completed, just type in competencies and just submit. Yes, I can see some. You can be able to see what you've just seen in the exams. Good. So I think I'll give 30 more seconds. Those who are still standing. Yes. Just type 1 or 2, then you submit. Type 1 or 2, then you submit. Yeah, so far I only received from 2 people. You don't need to fill all the 3. You can just enter even 1. Just submit. Yes. Really good. So good. So we'll be having more of this, so you'll jump in another session and be able to contribute. But allow me to take this for now. I'll ask my colleague to take a screenshot of that. Good. I think you will continue to send and you will get this feedback fast. We now have around 12 responses. We can now go back. Yes, we'll analyze this and be able to get back. Yes. So let's carry on. So one of the use case of technology, of learning technologies, is using it in various approaches. Sometimes we can combine the online educational material with opportunities of traditional place classroom. And this one is called blended learning. And I think sometimes we might have that in our institution, where we take students through a number of weeks, probably in face-to-face. Then we introduce some component of online, maybe the assessments done online. In some other segment, we also have online classes the way we are doing right now, and that is called blended learning. In many other institutions, it could be different. It could be an online learning or blended learning, project-based activities which are done in technologies. It can be a game-based learning, or assessments which are done online, or use of mobile devices in the classroom. So whenever we do this, there are some considerations that we should put into place. So the one consideration is the class size. How big are your classes? So if it is a small class, it takes a different perspective when you think about designing this class online. If it is a large classroom, maybe 3,000 students or even 8,000 students. In Maseno University, we have a class which attracts around 8,000 students every academic year. And with this class, it takes now a different perspective for the person who is going to consider how to teach that particular class online. How about the student devices? Yes, we need to think about the devices that the students will be able to use online. Are the students going to use their mobile phone? Are they going to use phones? Do they have access to those particular phones? How about the internet? Do they have access to the internet from their locations? Is the institution providing internet? Is the institution providing internet? So I think those are some of the considerations that we need to put into consideration when developing these courses. Other than these considerations, pedagogy that will be used, that will be aligned to technology, is very critical. And some of these technologies that can be used include peak-flat integration of technology to teaching and learning. What is then peak-flat? Now, when we talk about integrating technology to learning, we think about the student relationship to technology. Sometimes the technology that you're introducing is passive to the learner. The learners sit back and relax. So the learners will come to your class, they listen to you. They do not do anything, but you are using technology. In that particular case, the learners are passive. But in other cases, we can also have technologies that are interactive. Learners, at some point, they stop a bit, they contribute, just the way we've just done in the previous activity, where you contributed to a prompt that was provided to you. So the learning becomes now a bit interactive. And in some other cases, we can even have learners create content, learners create presentations, and they deliver that presentation. So the relationship of students to technology is now very creative at that particular point. So this one is a big model, and we'll keep referring to this at some other point. Whenever we have the learners passive, we teach at another level of just recall. Whatever we are engaging learners is recall. But whenever we teach in a way that it makes learning very interactive, it makes learning very creative, and students are able to interact and create as aspect of knowledge, then the kind of activities that learners do are of that creativity and of high order of thinking. What about the teacher? The teacher use of technology can also be different. It can replace the traditional practice, like if they have content in Microsoft Word, you normally give out your notes in PDF notes. But sometimes you can think about a better way in which you can make that content interactive. Or traditionally, it means that you had already printed the notes on photocopied notes, and you normally give your students those notes. You can think of using technology, and technology can be maybe to digitize them, and that replaces now the current practice. In some other cases, we can have even ways that you think it can amplify, maybe create some interactivity within it, or even transform it completely. This is the same way where you say, traditionally I used to teach with my notes, which I normally write on the board, but now I want to start differently and completely leave the practices that I was doing traditionally. So the teacher also, the teacher use of technology also comes into play. Now, for the teacher technology, we need to train the teacher so that they are able to replace the traditional practices, to amplify or even transform them. And this is what we are talking about, competencies. What competencies are these that will require the teacher to be able to create content? We'll be looking at that later on. And these are examples of how we can be able to incorporate those peaks. For example, in this particular case, the teacher can replace the traditional notes that were provided photocopy using a Microsoft Word. And in that Microsoft Word, instead of the teacher doing it, it is the students who are developing notes for the teacher. So that makes the learning very creative for the learners, and for the teacher replaces what they used to do traditionally, which is giving the notes on hard copy. On the other end, the teacher also can amplify. And amplification in this particular case, I'll pick one of them. The teacher can create an interactive activity for assessments where they can use a tool called Kahoot for quizzes. And as the learners interact with that Kahoot, it amplifies the traditional way of assessment. In another case, the teacher also can do some creative video, and this video can be done from students. So that's why you see the creative side of it, students creating those videos. And this can be a class presentation where we have group works and then you have the students present. And in this particular case, you can have technology to be able to do that. And you can have this one different, you can have different group of students to be able to do different things, different approaches in the same class. But then if we choose then to say we want to develop this course, how do we go about? So we are going to see a model called ADI model that is used to develop content. Yes, just a minute, Ms. Barbara. Yes. I'm being reminded that I should also give opportunity for questions, so you can be writing them down so that we take the questions along the way. But let's look at the ADI model. You can continue even posting on the chat so that you don't forget the progress. So how about this ADI model? What is it all about? So whenever we are developing a course, say in a semester, we need to think about the steps that it will take us to develop this online course. And this is partly us and also partly those people within the center or the ICT center who supports us in developing these courses. So the first stage is analysis. In analysis, we look at the learners, we look at the Commission of University Education. What does it say about the programs that we teach in the university, the curriculum, the course description, the outline? And we also look at the students. We talked about this in previously and say, how about the devices? What devices will the students use? Will they use their mobile devices? Will they use their laptops? Those are some of the critical issues that you need to think about even before you begin. And that will be at the analysis stage. Other things to think about is whether the university also provides some framework, some templates that you should use. So that as you move to design stage, where you look at the entire course in terms of the course outline, the strategies of the topics that are going to be covered, the learning objectives within those topics, the continuous assessment test within those topics. And now later on, you'll be able to assess them. That one, you look at it, design stage. And during this design stage, the outcome will be developing learning outcomes for all the topics that you'll be teaching. Other than this, then you move to another level of development. And in development, you actually develop the courseware. So in some section during the course design, you might think about some section and say, I will develop a video for this particular section. For this section, I will develop a rubric for group work. I'll develop a project work for this particular topic. So in the developing stage, you actually develop those material. And the end of it will be the resources which are ready to be uploaded to a training platform that you'll be using. The training platform that you'll be using could be Moodle, Google Class, or any other learning management system. So once it is complete, you jump into the stage of implementation. And in the stage of implementation, you now upload those resources that you develop. Once these resources have been uploaded, you now take some time to bring on board some students to try it out. pilot. So while you pilot, we have this evaluation stage where you try to check whether the learners are really understanding concepts. What are the key areas that you need to reinforce in your course? So that you can be able to do it at evaluation stage. So this basically will take around maybe 1 to 6 weeks of course development for one unit, then you move to another unit. So, but then it depends also on the institutional framework. Does your institution have timeline for developing courses? Does it provide the templates along the way that can make your course development easy to achieve? So those are key questions. And when we talk about those people who will be in charge of content development, these RD models also become very instrumental in that they foresee leadership, they provide leadership and evaluation and quality assurance at all these levels. So I do hope that we are noting the questions and we will take them in a few. When we talk about those, the needs analysis stage, we talked about collecting the needs of the learners, but it is good also that we understand what the learners need. So if we begin, the learners also need a technological environment that you'll be using. You'll be using technology to train, and the technology that you'll be using to train is very critical for the learners. One, they need to be supported on that technology. If they face any technical challenges, they also need to be guided on what technical specifications are required. Do I need a laptop? Do I need a computer to be able to complete this course? How about a course that I might have missed up? Was it recorded? Where can I get the recording and so forth? So the use of technology for the learners is very critical. Flexibility. Learners also would like, those learners who will actually be taking the courses online will need a flexible courses because for them, they cannot be able maybe to attend physical classes. And in this particular case, we are talking about synchronous and asynchronous lessons. They are not able to attend traditional classes full time. So they need to be provided avenues where they can be able to participate in class activities, both asynchronously and synchronous. Their expectation and the relationship with the faculty, they need to talk one-on-one with the faculty. So periodically, they will be required to have a session. Maybe you as the faculty, just have a session with them through maybe Zoom or any other tool, WhatsApp, to be able to talk one-on-one so that they talk to the human behind technology. It is very important in online space. Other than that, we also have interactivity. The courses that you're going to teach, they don't need to be flipped only on one side. They need also you to be more interactive, to be able to build capacity in a way that you roll out with your learners through discussion groups, polls, chats, and so forth. But for learners to be able to say that they've attained learning, they need that need for self-actualization. They need to consider the ways that you can provide them support in various aspects, like during the course of delivery. What support are you providing them? What kind of exams are you providing them? And even during examination, what kind of support are they? Are they going to sit exams online? Are they going to do it at the university? And so forth. So there are many questions that lingers for your learners, and you might need to articulate these ones and provide for them during course design in development. One of the critical areas is that for the courses that we normally get already, the institution normally provide the objective of its own objective and the program outcome together with the course outcome. And that one is already embedded in the curriculum that we teach. But for the lesson that we are going to develop, it normally does not come with learning outcome. So at this particular point, we want to see something about this learning outcome over there. So learning outcome is what the learners need to know or what the learners will be able to do at the end of the teaching lesson. So an example of learning outcome, it normally have a STEM, which is by the end of this lesson, the students will be able to. Then that STEM is followed by a verb, and that verb can be a verb called describe. We will talk about where the verb comes from shortly, but now at the moment, now we have the STEM and a verb. Once you put the verb, you also need now to mention about a condition of learning. And this one, in this particular case, is the relationship between a form and a function of a human art in an oral presentation. Context also is very important. So this column here gives us one narration of your learning outcome. But very important to this is this action verb. Where does it come from? So the action verb is very important because it has to be measurable, and it comes from Bloom's taxonomy. Now, Bloom's taxonomy was built by Benjamin Bloom in early 1950s, where he categorized thinking order in a low order thinking to high order thinking. And this is in 6 stages. The remembrance, and where they focus on knowledge, acquisition, and the ability to retain the memory of what was taught. And this include listing, recall, to a cognitive level where you can comprehend the content, that is understanding. And in understanding, you use the verbs like discuss, explain, describe. And at apply level, you use the verbs like demonstrate, interpret, produce, and so forth. At analysis stage, you use experimentation, distinguish. We saw one which is kind of similar, differentiate, and at high level of evaluation and creation, the learners now will have learned a lot to do with that knowledge area, and now they can be able to move to higher order thinking, where they can rate, where they can revise, organize, appraise, and so forth. So these are the verbs that are required every time we do a learning outcomes. And you will keep referring to this depending on the learning stage that you are developing. Now, I need to mention something that in practice, most of our courses normally linger here on remembrance and understanding. And if it lingers here, eventually our program, the learners will not be able to create anything, to evaluate. That means they cannot construct anything. So for us, our learners to be able to move to higher order thinking skills, we need to be also able to move them during course delivery. Our courses should be able to embrace the same. So while you're developing a course, when you're introducing the concepts, yes, you can be using a lower level thinking, but during the course, towards its end, you should at least be able to meet both evaluation and creation level of thinking. If you are to do maybe something like looking at the course, you should be able to cover several areas like this. It should come all the way to at least a point where we can have the course where learners can be able to create aspect of what they're being taught about. So this is generally good practice so that we are able to move learners not only on remembrance and understanding stage, but also moving them to higher order thinking. Now, we have this tool called ChatGPT, but just before we go to ChatGPT to help us do some writing learning outcomes, I want to stop there and check whether we are all following, and maybe you can ask 1 or 2 questions related to the context that we've covered this far. Just 1 or 2 questions, then we proceed.
Thank you so much, Peter. While we are at it, I would also like to encourage us to use the link that you have provided for you to join the WhatsApp group. So please, if you have not, I would encourage that we get the link to join the WhatsApp group. So Dennis, Denaya, I think it's in the chat. You can find a way of distributing it among the participants so that they can join the WhatsApp group. We also have some activities that are going on there. Thank you so much, and we look forward to your questions. We encourage you to ask questions.
So the microphone, I don't know if you can guide us. Can guide us on the ground there. Microphone, so that we're able to hear what is going on. Any questions coming from participants?
Hello? I hope you're getting me.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes. So mine is not question, but a request,
Yes,
regarding the practical part of our training,
yes.
because we have issues here with internet. Sometimes you can miss some steps in it during practical part of the training. Like, let me talk on myself. Maybe others, they got, like when you requested us to open our phone to enter menti.com and with the code, I was left behind. So I did not do that practical part of the training. Thank you.
Yes, Barbara, that's good.
Thank you for that reaction. I'm so happy that you have expressed your concerns. That is why I'm requesting us to join the WhatsApp group, because I am also posting the instructions there so that even when you miss it during the session, you can always follow the practicum from the WhatsApp. So please do join the WhatsApp. And also we'll be sharing recordings there. So you can replay the section of the video that you need to replay. Thank you so much.
So even as you do that, Barbara, the question is, where do they find the link to join the WhatsApp? Where do they find the link to join WhatsApp?
Mine, I have a question
Yes.
that you also need to put into consideration. It is actually it is a new course to us in South Sudan, and I don't know whether there will be a program of setting internet in other universities which are registered under East Africa universities, because now as we are for the training now, we had already experienced challenges of internet, which is a problem in South Sudan. Since you have come with the designs, can we know exactly whether it will proceed or to set an internet in other public institutions? That's one. Two, on the new program that is actually the first time to introduce, it would have been better to see the facilitators physically and also to learn the challenges that we experience in that particular country before we go to online. Now, some of us here, maybe they have not been online before, and it's the first time, and we are trying now to experience a lot of challenges. Thank you.
Barbara, I understand that the first question relates back to our DskillsEA and DskillsEA representative, Peter Guy, who could have talked much more about their project and the implementations which are going on in the region. And I think this question about setting up internet in the institution, I may not be able to respond to it fully because it touches on their policy. So I think one of the most important thing I can do is to make sure that I relay this, and in some other context, when Peter Guy will also join us again, he will be able to give us more insights on whether they will be scaling up internet to include even internet in the member institution of DskillsEA. The other issue about the design of the workshop itself, we do hope that it will feature a session where we will be able to come to the ground and be able to build capacity one-on-one. But as it is now, seems like for the first session, we will have to do it online. Just bear with us. We do hope that we will have minimal challenges during these 5 days. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, exactly. That you touched the part I wanted to ask, but I would love to do more elaboration on that. About this training we are supposed to have. I was about to ask, like you mentioned in your emails, that it will be hybrid. I mean, it will be a combination of both online thing and then something practical.
Yes, yes.
But now the way you have started this, I think it will be difficult for all of us to catch up with all that you will present here online. I may request at least to implement what you communicated earlier. It will help us a lot. Yeah, doing it practically, because we will go and also share with our colleagues at the various universities we're coming from. Okay,
Yes.
but if it is all like this, then it will be difficult to pass the same information. We may miss some. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, this is just a request. Thank you.
Good. Barbara, respond to that.
Thank you for that. Maybe I can answer that question. So we will be referring you to our learning management system. And in the learning management system, we have put up more resources with videos there, which you can, after this session, you will be encouraged to watch the videos, slowly listen, and practically work on the tasks. In regards to the physical aspects, we were going to relay that information to the organizers. So yes, so that is also noted.
So I know we could be still having more questions, but allow me to stop you there. In terms of question, you can continue to send your question on the chat. We'll respond to them. So I would like us to move forward, and partly I would also want us now to move to a step of creating learning outcomes. So we've just mentioned about creating learning outcomes. You can sit down and write those learning outcomes based on the approach that we provided. But nowadays, there are tools that can help a teacher to be able to move faster and be able to create. There are tools like ChatGPT that can help you write learning outcomes for a course. And we have been given here a guide where you can be able to put it on ChatGPT and be able to run so that you can get response from ChatGPT. And how does it work? So I'll demonstrate a bit, then you will practice just for 1 or 2 minutes again, and then we will come back for the next presentation. The challenge that we have is that we really do not have long time, but our training is divided into 2. In the afternoon, you'll have a lot to do with the same things that we are doing, but now for practicing. So you will allow us to just keep interrupting and giving some short sessions for practicals, because you will have long session of practicals in the afternoon, where you'll be interacting on the course on the learning management system, watching the video how to do it in details, and then practicing it on your own. You'll also have a chance to come back the following day and tell us where you didn't get support, where you got challenged and you need support. So I'll just show you how to be able to get into ChatGPT for those who are new, and how to put in a command so that it can generate for you a task. It can work out a task for you. Then I will leave you at that particular point where you can go in and now and try on your own. So I'll stop sharing the screen, then I'll go to my browser. So in my browser, you will go to chatgpt.com. So that is the key thing that you need to go to your browser, chatgpt.com. So if you are new to ChatGPT, it will ask you to log in, and you can create account if you're a first-time user. Once you create account and log in, this is the page that it will load. So once it loads this page, what you're required to do then is now to be able to provide command.
Peter, your screen is not visible.
It's not shared. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Is that clear now? My screen is kind of black because that is the color of the system. So we are also posting on the chat the link to ChatGPT. So chatgpt.com. Chatgpt.com. So I'm reminded that the link is shared on WhatsApp. Just you can go to find the link of ChatGPT on WhatsApp, but you can pay attention and just look at the screen. I'll just be able to share just something a bit and then we can carry on. So I've said the link to ChatGPT is chatgpt.com. If it is your first time to log in, it will ask you to log in and you might need to create an account. Once you create an account, this is the interface that it will provide you. With this interface, you are now supposed to just ask it questions and it will work for you. It can do text to text and so forth. So for instance, I can ask it now that I want it to develop learning outcomes for my topic. So you need to have that particular course and particular topic that you want to develop. So you just type in a command. Sorry. So I'm saying develop learning outcomes for a topic on digital literacy for teachers. Good. Just type just provide the topic and the course that you want ChatGPT to develop learning outcomes. Then you send the command. So, and it will do that very quickly. Okay, so that is just an example. I know you will try it out with your content in your course, and the output will be different every time you send in a command. The outcome is totally different. So because it goes back and generate the data based on the responses. So long as our commands are different, also the responses are different. So the message that we type in for ChatGPT to be able to help us is called prompt. So I'll stop there for ChatGPT. I know you could be having questions, but we mentioned that the interactive sessions, a lot of it is on the other course that we will move in. We have a video that shows you how to be able to do this. So yes, I'm hoping that that is clear so that we move again back to our content. Yes. So you will be able to try out a few learning outcomes for your course. And the essence of this is actually on designing the learning outcomes. But along the way, we have seen a tool that you can be able to use to do that. What about learning activities? For learning activities, we want learning activities which are engaging and interactive to the learner. And for you to be able to do this, we are using 6 types of learning activities which have been presented. Number 1 is acquisition. we want a learning activities that can make learners acquire knowledge, and this include listening to a lecture, podcasts, reading books, websites, watching videos, and so forth. So it is largely on the resource, and the resource that we are giving, it needs to find its way in meeting the learner's knowledge acquisition for that particular learning outcome that you will have set out. That is number one, acquisition. So what is this acquisition that you have been using? Is it a PDF notes that you normally give to your learners? Is it a lecture that you normally teach? Acquisition. Two, collaboration. Learning through collaboration, where you put learners together so that they are able to discuss, they practice together to produce knowledge. So in this particular stage, the learners have to be brought together. There has to be interaction between them. So at the core of collaboration is interactive activity among learners, and discussion and practice has to happen. So in this particular case, you, the teacher, needs to initiate what is this that we are going to collaborate on. You need to develop an activity that learners will collaborate on. And by collaborating, learners will come in with different knowledge, with different skills, and they will be able to practice together to build those new skills. Discussion. At some point, the faculty can give a challenging question to the learners, and the learners now will meet at some point where they all discuss to respond to these ideas and to even ask questions where necessary. And the teacher also has opportunity to come in, provide guidance, and even respond to questions. So another key activity is discussion. And as we even talk about this, the more we go higher, investigation, practice, then production, it continue to spark higher critical thinking based on the blocks that we talked about earlier. Investigation. In the investigation stage, here we, the faculty, are able to guide the learners to explore and compare or even critique materials that we are going to give them. If you are giving them some notes, you are going to ask them maybe a case study A, case study B, and then they are able to compare and critique and even give you a reflection based on their critique. That now is at a higher level of thinking, even practice, where learners are able to adapt their actions to the task that has been presented to them, and they will now give it to you, and based on whatever will be presented to you, you are going to give feedback. The feedback then will be used to improve their next action. So in practicing, the teacher has to be there and the peers to give feedback so that it can build on to whatever the learners are being practicing. At a higher level also, the learners can be given a task that requires them to be able to develop an outcome, and that outcome can be done as a presentation, maybe a PowerPoint presentation, where learners discuss. After discussing, they create a PowerPoint, and then that PowerPoint, they use it to present in the class. That is production. So you can have your learners do a set of maybe 3, maybe 2, or 1 of this activity every week. The more they do this activity, the learning becomes interactive. And the core of designing tasks, it is developing tasks which are interactive. So an example based on the earlier model that we saw, the pick and rat. So the teacher can move from, they can create a video where learners can watch. And that is passive. It belongs to acquisition stage. But having even watched the video, the teacher can choose another, can opt for another option like this one you're using right now, which is interactive. And this is discussion and collaboration, where the teacher presents, asks questions, then they discuss. And then it can also move to a higher level order where learners can come back online, discuss about maybe practice or produce content where they can present to the entire class. So that is another way in which learners can be able to, you the teacher can be able to create an engaging learning activity to the learners. Looking at this, if you look at towards this level, whenever we are talking about the knowledge level, normally it is passive because we talk about just recall. The learners sit back and relax for the knowledge acquisition, and they will be able to just respond to the recall questions. But if you are going to engage learners at this level of comprehension and application, they will partly be able to do collaborative and discussion task, and that will not be just sit back and relax, but now becomes an interactive way in which we are able to teach. And even as we have activities that pushes the learners to the higher level of critical thinking, such as production, investigation, and practice, the learners will be able to create. That means they'll be able to interpret, predict, compare, and so forth. So at the essence of our activity, when we are creating activity, we need to think about it. Is it towards which level of thinking? Because if our graduates just majorly do things to do with acquisition here, or knowledge and comprehension just here, they will not be able to create, to be problem solvers in the real world. They will not be having the right skills for that particular degree program. We need to be pushing them towards developing and creating knowledge so that they become problem solvers to everyday problems that we face in our society. It's also very good to think about for the acquisition. If we give them PDF notes, they will be able to read, yes, but they cannot remember 10% of what they read. For what they're going to hear, maybe a podcast, they can only recall up to 20% of that particular knowledge. They can retain very little. But if we continue now to engage the learners in collaboration, discussion, you see the level of knowledge retention continue to go up to 50%. Sorry. And even as we engage them into real world where they do the action, the retention continue to go up to 90%. So what we learn from this is that we should be able to make sure that the content that we teach also have a part that makes learners to be able to practice it, to produce some aspect so that they can remember more about it. The kind of learning resources that we are talking about is having videos, images for medium memory retention. But for high memory retention, we need them to perform an action, to do something. And here we make learners produce or do an action. And there will be an aspect of that what they can be able to do in the course that you're teaching. But it is also good to put into cognizance that our learners, the learners that we teach in our classroom, they fall into different kind of learning aspects. Some are visual, they like learning by seeing. For those learners who like learning by seeing, they want charts, they want graphs, graphic organizers, and lesson outlines are very important. So, so you, even as a teacher, you need to think about them. Periodically use maybe PowerPoint for the face-to-face classes, or include even charts in the notes that you provide them. Auditory learners, they like reading aloud, listening. They like also verbal instruction, discussion. And they would also like some activities that they are able to interact with others. Maybe something that will make them even repeat to a friend. So in that particular case, also you need to develop activities that that expand to reach this type of learners, auditory learners. There will be also those learners who like to read and write. So the aspect of note taking also has to be there in your course. Should also be able to give them opportunities where they practice writing. We also have learners who like doing. They will not do anything until you ask them now to do. So they will be waiting at that particular point where you need to find a way of engaging those learners. Otherwise, they will be left out in your class. So knowing that there are different kind of learning styles and different types of learners, it is good that when you design a course, you need to think about each daily perspective of this kind of learners. Again, now you have been given here a code that an example of a code that you can take it back to the chat GPT so that you are able to develop a learning activity that can be engaging to your learners. And on these brackets, you can be able to replace it with your topic, you can replace it with your context, and then it will be able to give you an output that would be relevant to that course that you're teaching. So much about that. That was about activity development. We were supposed to do another Mentimeter, but I'll skip this so that we do it ahead of time. What about assessment? So we've talked about learning outcomes. We've talked about learning activities, and we have said for the learning activities, we want to make them very engaging. And at the center of it is interactivity. What about assessment? So when we move our course to digital learning, the assessment takes three perspectives. First, we have this type of assessments where the teacher is going to mark or rate them. We call them teacher marked assessments. This, for example, the essays, the research paper, discussions, wikis, journals, and so forth. So here, the students is going to submit their work, and the teacher is going to maybe manually mark them on the paper or electronically. But in this case, because we are talking about digital courses, we are talking about electronically marked. But we have also the type of assessment where computers is even going to help us mark, and these are called computer marked assessments. We also have the type of assessments where learners are going to rate themselves based on a rubric that is going to be provided to them. These are called peer marked assessments. With these three types of assessments, it depends on what the teacher wants to attain and the requirements of that particular program and the number of students in that course. So if you have 3,000 students, it will be extremely very hard to mark 3,000 script. Maybe the teacher might offer computer marked assessments. But if the students class the number of students are fewer, then the teacher also will want to do teacher marked assessment. And also it is discipline specific. If it's a writing course, we would really want to assess writing itself, and that the teacher has to see or be able to read writing and mark, and that is teacher mark. So it really depends. But one thing I want to mention is that artificial intelligence also has been very disruptive in terms of assessments, and there has been a way in which also students are able to use ChatGPT to be able to do their assessments that you provide. Is this a case in your institution? So I think I'll stop there to hear about the practices in your institution, about assessments and the way students are using artificial intelligence to complete assessments. Is it happening in your institution? So a question over there. Dennis, if you allow the microphone to move around. Yes. Yeah, yes, we are asking the practices about the assessments that you give in your institution. Do your students use ChatGPT in completing assignments that you provide? Is
Yes, they are
ChatGPT a
doing this.
challenge is ChatGPT a challenge in your institution? Yeah, that's what I wanted to hear.
Yes, it's a
Yes.
big challenge, and we want to know more how we can encounter this.
Good.
And how do we detect exactly? Is there any technical application that you can use to detect AI generated content, such that you suggest the marks you can give to prevent those who are not giving exactly their work and those who are just copying from AI and then they pass and then they submit their assignments. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your response. The same practice also cut across in our institution and many institutions based on the training that we've had along the region. I would like to mention that yes, there are applications that could be able to detect whether artificial intelligence was used or not. And my colleague is going to share a link. If you go to the WhatsApp, Barbara is going to share a link of a tool that can be used to detect AI, whether it completed an assessment for you or not. But in this particular case, I would also want to mention that yes, many people, they normally read a copy that was made by AI, and many even cannot be able to tell whether it was a human or not. So each and every day, AI is learning, and the more it learns, the more it becomes very human. And in future, it will be very difficult even to detect whether it is human or not. So what do we do? So part of what we need to do is that we need to understand just the way ChatGPT is a good tool that is helping even you as a teacher develop even the courses and so forth. We need to understand that whenever we use ChatGPT, it is very good in text to text. So if you ask it question with text, it can produce very good text about it. And because it can produce very good text about it, if you ask questions also which are multiple choice, it can answer it very well. If you ask questions which are true, false, it can answer it very well. Short answers and essay questions that you normally provide as a takeaway assignments, it can answer them very well. So in this particular case, what do? We need to change our approaches then. We need to think about what is this that AI does not do well in. It actually does not do very well in multimedia. It has some good level, but not very well. It is also not very well in human speech. It cannot talk the way I talk. I'm not reading from any script, and you can always tell this is a informal human talking. And this is ChatGPT just reading from some script or algorithm. So yes, it has not reached that level that it can really produce a speech like human being. So it is not very good in that. Then human touch. Whenever you read a text that came from AI, you will see that yes, it is very good, but sometimes it misses out on emotions and so forth. So the human touch bit is missing. So then how should we frame our assessments? We should frame our assessment where it allows for collaboration with AI. In some institutions, they say, okay, do not use AI. So we need to learn best ways in which AI can help us. When the student do not use AI, and when they use AI, do they learn better? If they learn better, yes, we should ask the students to use AI to collaborate so that they learn best. But having learned, we need now them to take assessments differently. So we need to train the students on what is right use of AI and what is wrong use of AI. So the ethical guidance becomes very critical in AI literacy for learners. That is very important. Then even as we do that, we need also assessment that cannot be fully completed by AI. And what are these kind of assessments? So the assessments that cannot be fully completed by AI are assessments that will complete this puzzle that we've put here, assessments that are voice recognition. So you can have assessment that you can ask your learners to reflect. Very important part of this is reflection. So you will, the nature of assessments will ask learners to reflect about something, precisely about the context of that assessment that you want to take. And AI will not do reflection. For example, if I ask you to reflect about the entire, all this session that we've had, your reflection will be very human. In this perspective, I thought of this, and in this perspective also, I also thought about this. Then you can even now ask them to use ChatGPT to help them out. And ChatGPT can provide them with maybe an outline of how they are going to think, but it is not going to help them. And then with the reflection bit, you can ask them also to be able to use ChatGPT to produce images. ChatGPT can produce images so that it concretize whatever they are talking about. And in this particular case, so we end up with assessment that have personal element. We want assessment that has a personal element, it has a voice, it has a reflection. Because we are talking about a voice here, we want a human. We want a human to be able to present. So it looks like in future, we do not want assessments which are submitted, but we want assessments which are submitted by human. And that means the human himself has to record. We want to see the human, and we want the human to be able to present. And as they present, we get the natural voice, we get the human touch, we get the speech, and we can now be able to check whether that person understands the concepts or not. So we will be looking later on at screen recording software, and this is what we will be urging our students to be able to do, to submit assessments where they can be able to record themselves giving a presentation so that we can be able to assess the real human based on that particular context. So I think having mentioned that, this artificial intelligence requires us to be able to go through AI literacy course, and which touches on many areas so that we can be able to reflect. But for this aspect, I think this nugget that we've got today can be able to help us. We are still on assessments, but we've diverted a bit about artificial intelligence in assessments. So let's come back to assessments still. So in assessments, we are looking at the assessments across those interactive areas. So remember, we are also assessing what we are teaching. And because we are assessing what we are teaching, from the practices that we mentioned, that we should give activities that probably covers acquisition, discussion, collaboration, investigation, practice, and production. So the acquisition bit will cover this lower level of Bloom's taxonomy, where it's going to ask whether the learners can recognize or recall from memory. And here we're talking about the quizzes, multiple choice, fields in, and question. And whenever you use use this question, don't make it like you are interested in the marks, because ChatGPT can do this, but make it that the learners are able to practice the knowledge so that they master the content. So you can use this just for mastery of content, not for continuous assessment test. But for continuous assessment test, you can now try to do something like demonstration, something like debate, something like presentation, simulation, and so forth going forward, where the learners can be able to record, present to you, and then submit to you, and you can be able to mark. So yes, we have seen AI cannot be able to help them do that. They have to do it. And so it has to be humanized going forward. So these are examples of areas that you can have to create engaging assessments, and hopefully you can try out one. Again, here we come with a prompt where you can also ask ChatGPT to help you out to develop assessments for your learners. You can try out that in the session in the afternoon.
So thank you, Peter. So what we will do is that we will put these prompts on the WhatsApp so that you can actually try them out, and then you will share your output on the WhatsApp group so that we make the WhatsApp also an interactive platform for us to interact. So this particular chat prompts will be put on our WhatsApp. So please make sure that you have joined the WhatsApp. Thank you.
Yeah, Peter or Barbara, could you please add me to the WhatsApp group so that I can also be I can be able to add those who are around now on the WhatsApp group also. Since we are we are just we are viewing you from the screen, and not everybody can access the Zoom chat. So maybe you add me so that I can be able to add those that are on ground right now.
So Dennis, that is noted. So Dennis, that is noted. You shortly you'll be able to bring on board other participants. That's fine. So let's see examples now of using the 6 activities in a course. So in a course, you're teaching for many weeks, maybe 14 weeks. So you come back to see your first week of learning, week 1. And in week 1, you say, okay, I'm going to introduce my concept in the first week. So in the first week, I can have the acquisition where I will do the notes, give them notes where it's going to share the knowledge. I will also do a lecture. Then I will also put them in collaboration so that they are able to discuss about the concepts that I'm introducing. So there's collaboration and group work in the first week. Other than that, you can also have a sequence of other activities that you're going to engage in the first week. It can sometimes be very less or very big. You just don't, it cannot be as big as what I've done here because it will be too much for you. You cannot be able to attain in 3 hours. Then we have the second week of learning. Again, you lay out. So this is what we are referring to, the design stage where you are able to develop your course, but now thinking critically about how the interaction is going to become very handy during course development. Another examples, yes. Yeah, and in these examples, even there are comments. So once we share these slides, you will be able to go through it and then think about yours. How will yours be? How many weeks will you be teaching? How do you want to create it? So yeah. So very important, since we started, we mentioned these 3 things, the learning outcomes, teaching and learning activities, and now assessments. They should all be aligned. The learning outcomes that you provide, we should be able to see how learners will learn using that learning outcome, and how we'll be able to measure whether learning happened or not for that particular learning outcome. This is called constructive alignment. So after looking at each one of them, you need to come back and see, what there for the learning activities, are learning really aligned? And you really need to check out these for all the weeks that you're teaching. So constructive alignment is very critical. In your course outline, yes, you can do this in your course outline and say, okay, in the first topic, my learning outcome is this. My learning activity is this, acquisition and discussion. You're going to make learners discuss. And based on this, you are going to assess the discussion at the end of this. So you are actually assessing what you taught, so forth. So you should be able to look at that throughout your assessment. Once you have completed all this and you're ready to put this course online, how will your course look like? So your course will take a format like this one, which has been provided here, where you will have the course information, where you talk about welcome the learners, how will they learn in the course, and so forth. Then you're going now to move into detail where you have week 1 of the topic. And in week 1, you can have introduction video, you can have some reading activity, and then you can now have learners do some learning activity, and this could include even practicing and so forth. At the end of it, you can have assessment. This can be a quiz or something like that. Then you can repeat these ones for the weeks until the end of the semester. So this is the kind of model or approach that you can take for your course that you're going to develop online. But what tools are you going to use in developing this? So we have something called course design template, and in this course design template, just need to open one. So yes, here is the course design template. So the way this course design template is designed is that it provides the course title, course code, just the general information about the course, how many hours you're going to teach, the person who is going to develop the course. And also we normally have somebody else called the reviewer, somebody else from the department you teach with. You will come and see the content and make sure that the content really aligns very well with what is required in the department. So it's a reviewer. Then other than that, we move into the details of course development. We also have now the welcome message. At the top of your digital course, you will have a welcome message. Just welcome your students online. And this will include a key welcome message which is going to welcome the students, tell them about the purpose of the course and motivate them to sustain them during the time that they'll be taking the course. Other than the welcome message, we will also have other key information, including the course learning outcomes. We mentioned about this. You're going to have the course learning outcomes, but also you're going to have very specific topic learning outcomes every week. So yes, you'll have a schedule showing the topic and what you're going to cover and the amount of hours. This is very important, and it's something that is already in your course outline, but the hours might not be there. Why? Because your learners are going to take up some time to study online, but they really want to know how much time they wish to dedicate to each sessions, and this guide will really help on that. Other than that, we also have some other aspects, which is the narrowing down to each week. Each week, what are you doing? So you're going to put here the topic of what you're going to do in this particular week, and it's going to have an introduction. An introduction will be very straightforward. It will guide learners on what they are going to cover and an overview. You will start with the text like this. Hello learners, welcome to this topic. In this topic, we will discuss about then the nature of the context of the subject that you will be teaching. You will also have the learning outcomes, and we have seen a way in which you can be able to develop this even using ChatGPT. So you will have to put here your learning outcomes for this particular week. Then now you delve deep now into those learning activities that we talked about, acquisition, collaboration, discussions, and so forth. An example that is presented to us here is a reading activity. And this template offers quite a number of examples. So you necessarily do not need all this. What you will just need is to choose one that you can adopt for your topic. This template will be shared to us on the WhatsApp, but it's also provided on the learning management system. And from this point, we will be able to use this to design the course that we will be developing. So until that particular point, I think we reach the end of this session on course design. We can take one or two more questions. One or two more questions. Then we look at another aspect of the training, which is on developing a digital learning ecosystem. So, Dennis, you can give the microphone to participants. Any questions related to course design, learning outcomes, learning activities, and assessments?
Thank you for the presentation. That's very nice. But also you need to reduce the speed. It's too much so that we can
Okay.
go. Now, with all what you have presented, we are getting, but in order for us to catch up,
Yes.
what do you think we can do at the pretty now?
Yeah, thank you so much. I think what my colleague said, actually, I had in mind. I think for us to continue well and I really understand, maybe you can share to us some notes like today. When we go back, we read through. As we come back, then we follow. Otherwise, it's a bit challenging to follow you. Yeah, so that is my request. Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon. So my question is, based on what we have learned today, most of these digital tools are maybe channeling through finding a way to assess students' performance using digital tools or AI or whatever. But from my experience, most of students are grade oriented. So it's not about the outcome most of the time, but about what will appear on the final results. So you might introduce a digital tools or learning methods, but at the end of the out of the coursework, the attendance, the final examination.
I'm sorry, we lost a bit of what you are raising. Allow me to take you back so that you can hear it again. Sorry about the internet problem.
Was it interrupted fully, or do I have to repeat the whole?
No, it was interrupted
question?
partly. Now the question part is what you not at.
Yeah. So basically, as we know, most students are grades oriented. So
Yes.
whatever task they complete, they focus on how much grade they can get out of the course. It's not about the learning or the outcome. So most of the time, the assessments don't really do the work because they know their way around it and they know how to get grades out of whatever assessment that you put. We don't have issues in introducing digital tools. Mostly maybe like the basic technology challenges that everybody's facing in the country with the internet and computers and everything. But we encourage them to use AI in most of they edit, which are things that you cannot perform using AI. But at the end of the day, the focus is more on the grades, not on the learning. So I don't know if there is a way that as an instructor I can help with that. Because at the end of the day, we want people to learn something, not to just focus on how can they pass the course. We want them to come out with skills. Thank you.
So maybe you can respond to the questions that has been raised so far. Yeah, so we've talked about today's training being extremely fast. We will try to find the best way we can work around the next trainings which are going to come. so that they can become more engaging and less fast as it is. We will be sharing material earlier, as suggested, so that you can have materials prior to. But I guess our essence is being more engaging during delivery. And we do hope that if you attend today's session in the afternoon, where you will get access to the resources and also get space to be able to practice, you will understand more of how our training is structured. Then you can now give us overall feedback based on that. Because the way we've sequenced it, we've sequenced the morning sessions to be more of awareness and be able to respond to critical issues that may emerge. Then the afternoon sessions to be more of practicals, delving deep into what was shared earlier. So we do hope you'll be able to do them. On a question that was raised about the challenges of how we can be able to move away from grade-oriented assessments to really teaching assessments where learners really work. So in this particular case, what we have been going through in terms of the 6 learning types is the essence. If you're going to build your course around that, then it means you're going to build your course around interactivity. And because it is interactive, yes, learners will learn. Learners will learn because in this particular case, it is not geared towards the mark, because you're discussing with your peer. It is meant to yield something that can be supported by presentation. So in that particular case, if as the learners go through that activity of collaboration, activity of discussion, or inquiry through investigation, the learning really happens at that particular stage. So we do hope once again you will be able to start developing an activity based on this. You will also begin to see the aspects of interactivity that comes into play and how this can be able to yield much better results than the result-oriented assessments that we normally run. Thank you. I'm not sure whether there could be other questions, but I think most of us now have been added to the digital space on WhatsApp. We do hope that you
I
can
had only
continue
one
to.
question.
Yes. So maybe I can allow you to move on. Just proceed. But the rest, you can just post your question on WhatsApp so that we move to it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
First of all, I would like to thank you for the presentation. My question is on the, I don't know, when you introduced us to this course, we wanted to see something like a course outline, like the summary of this digital skill. What is the summary of it? So we wanted to see a summary of it so that we are able to know what we are going to learn tomorrow, after tomorrow, so that we are also going to do research on it on our own if we have time within these days. So that's my question.
Good. So we have all been, I think Barbara can just respond to this, whether we are all now on WhatsApp space. And if we are there, we have the agenda, the daily agenda already shared there, which is an outline of what we are doing today and what is coming in the following days. Barbara, you can mention that.
Yes, so we had posted it, by the way, yesterday. For those who had already joined the WhatsApp, you may have already seen the agenda, where we have indicated the schedule of activities for the whole week and the topics we are going to cover. So if you had not, and you've just joined the WhatsApp, you can actually now go ahead and download it so that you can be able to get all the areas that you're going to cover for the entire week. So please let's look at our WhatsApp. We should be able to see it now.
Drive on your terms.
So I think now we can take a 5-minute break. Then we come back for, is it 5 or 10 minutes? Because we have tea.
Let's make it 10 or 15.
Who is our timekeeper?
All right then.
Let's Steven. Who is our timekeeper? If we don't have one, I think we can nominate a timekeeper for the session, and then can keep the time for us. Barbara, what name do you remember? What name do you remember?
David.
David. So David is
No,
big.
no, Mort.
Mort. Barbara is recommending that Mort become our timekeeper. Where is Mort? Mort. The pronunciation can be different. It is M-O-O-T. Yes, Mort. Please be our timekeeper, and we are going to take 15 minutes break. Once we come back, we move to the next agenda. Agenda has been posted on our WhatsApp. You can be able to. Thank you. Take break. Hello. Enjoy.
Okay, I'll just, so to facilitate the online or the asynchronous activities, we have set up a learning management system. And by just a show of, I may want to know how many of us or how many of our institutions have a learning management system. So I want to know how many of us have a learning management system. So on the WhatsApp, I just put a small activity for you. It's a poll where I want to know if you have a learning management system. So do you have a learning management system? So our learning management system is an LMS, the same. So indicate yes or no. So on the WhatsApp, you can just indicate to me whether you have a learning management system for your institution. You can just indicate yes or no, depending on that. So thank you, Dr. Bruno. I would like you to use the poll to answer. So you can either indicate yes or no on the poll on the WhatsApp. So far, I can see Miss Mayik is saying no. Dr. Bruno, no. Dr. Makuru Johnson, no. So this would be the first time we interacted with the learning management system, okay? So only 3 of us have indicated. I would also encourage all the rest of us to indicate whether you have a learning management system. Thank you, Mr. Alfred. Thank you. Thank you, Arop, Mr. Arop. Any other? The rest of us, please do indicate if you have an LM learning management system. Thank you, Mrs. Irene. Noted your contribution. Earlier, there's somebody who had indicated they have a learning management system. So, okay, thank you. That's Osuru. Thank you for your. Okay, so from the indication, it's quite a number of us, almost 50% of us who have already answered the poll do not have a learning management system. So at this point, I would want to introduce you to a learning management system. So it is a platform which is used to facilitate digital learning. So it's a platform that facilitates, I'm using the word facilitate. So the platform does not teach. It is you, the instructor, who teaches. And based on what Peter has taken us through, he was actually taking us through the steps of designing or conceptualizing your course that you want to teach online. So that is actually the process of how you conceptualize your course, from setting the learning outcomes, the learning activities, how conceptualizing the kind of approach you'd like to use, the kind of learners that you will be interacting with, because we do understand that learners have different characteristics. So what Peter has taken us through is the process of conceptualizing your online course before you actually go and teach it online. So once you have clearly conceptualized your course, you've designed it. And that's why during the presentation, the last aspect that Peter shared with us was a course development template. That template is very important because it is very critical in terms of assisting lecturers to think through the course that you want to teach using technology. So you need to design it. You need to think through all the critical aspects that make up for a quality online course. So once that is done, the second part is usually now to implement it on the learning management system. That implementation part requires that you are knowledgeable about the learning management system. And I want to acknowledge the comments that you have made, which are very important. And I think we will actually escalate it to the organizers, that you may need that practical hands-on training on some of these aspects. So at this point, it's almost like we're creating an awareness so that you are aware of what is required when the end-to-end process of digital learning, of the process of digital learning. So the first step, you need to design the course, and that is done by the lecturers. So the first part of this training is a very critical skill for lecturers. And also noted that in the presentation, Peter was also able to list for us some of the critical skills that you require to have as a lecturer. And one of them you see, which is an emerging skill, is the AI literacy, because AI tools are becoming a critical part of the digital space right now. We have AI tools for literally everything. So if you go online, you realize ChatGPT is just one of the tools, but there are so many AI tools. I have a friend who's doing animation and is now even using AI to design characters which they are using to animate. So you realize that AI literacy becomes a very critical part in digital learning. So the second part is the digital literacy in terms of the tools, how to use the tools. And this is now where the learning management system comes in to play. So the learning management system is just a platform where instructors can use to actually deliver their online courses. And tomorrow, I will be making a presentation on the capabilities of the learning management system. What can the learning management system do for you when you're teaching online? What are the tools that are inside the learning management system, developed inside the learning management system, that can help you achieve the delivery of different types of learning? That is very, very important. When you talk about multimedia, how are you able to embed it? If you want a collaborative activity, just as Peter has taken us through designing such kind of activities, how do you implement them online? So that now comes to the capabilities of the learning management system, which we are going to explore tomorrow. But for today, I want us to experience the learning management system. So we have set up a platform for the sake of this project, and the URL, I'm going to post it on the WhatsApp. So you realize the WhatsApp will be one of our main tools. So Peter will be posting for us the link to the WhatsApp on the WhatsApp. So just check on your WhatsApp, and you will get a link to the learning management system. And then I'll take you through the steps of logging in. So just go to your WhatsApp and Peter will be posting the link there. So is it posted? Okay, just a minute. So it's Moodle.Dskills. Okay, so I've just posted it right now. I want you to check on your WhatsApp. So the link is there, Moodle.Dskills. Yeah, Peter has also posted it. Huh? So I want all of us to click on that link so that we are able to load the LMS, and I'm going to share my screen at this point. Okay, so this is our learning management system, the platform where the learning resources will be shared, and we will continue to explore the learning management system, especially tomorrow. It will be one of our key areas of focus. But for today, we want to experience it in terms of logging in and navigating. So are we all on this learning management system? Are we all on this screen? you can actually indicate by a show of hands. And while we are at it, if you're having a challenge, I would request that you post it on the chat. I would request that you post it on the WhatsApp chat. Let it be one of our support platforms. So I would recommend that we post our challenges, our issues, our concerns and questions there, so we can collaboratively support you on that platform. Are we all there? So what I want you to do is, I want you to all log in. And it's very simple to log in. The platform is very simple, intuitive, very easy to use. So if you want to log in, you click on the top right corner. There's a button indicating log in. Do you see that button? On the top right corner of your screen, there's a button which is indicating log in. Are we there? For the sake of those who have just joined the WhatsApp, I will be reposting the link again so that we are all on the same page. So I want you to click on the login link. It is on the top right corner. When you click on it, it should load for you a window that looks like what I have on screen. Be able to see my screen, it will be having a window that requires you to put in your username and your password. So you should be able to get a window that looks like this. It should be asking you to enter or to key in your username and your password. So for all of you, your username is your email address. All of you, your username is your email address, the address that you used to register for this program. So that's what your username will look like. So that's what your username is. So your username is your email address. And then for the password, I will be using, I'll type in the password on the chat or the WhatsApp. So it's DskillsEA at 2024. Capital D, DskillsEA at 2024. So that is the password. So the type of platform, the type of LMS we are using is called Moodle, M-O-O-D-E-L, Moodle, M-O-O. So it's called Moodle. It's a very popular learning management system that has been deployed in a number of institutions worldwide. So, and it is very popular among our East African universities. So most of our IUCA partners will be having this as their platform. So it's Moodle. I will appreciate, Dennis, if we can have a technical person who is moving around to provide support. If it is very technical that you cannot provide guidance, you can always post it on the WhatsApp and I will be able to address. And for ease of addressing, you can put your name, put your question or your concern and sign out with your name. So I'd like to get to know your progress as you're logging in. So have you been able to log in? So I will be calling out one of us. I'll be using one of us as account so that I can demonstrate this logging in. You know, Arop, you're first on my list, so I'll be using you as my example. So your email address is MA, and it's in lowercase, by the way. My year. It's Mayer Narop at yahoo.com. So that's how you'd put yahoo.com. So that's how you would put your username at that point. And then I can see someone smiling. I think Arop should be the first one on that line, seated next to the gentleman who's very smart in a blue Kaunda suit. Is that you, Arop? Yeah, I can see you smiling there. I got you right there. Great. So that is how you'd put in your username, Maya Narop. That is it. And then your password. For all of us, our password is DSkills, capital D, SKILL at 2024. And then you click this button indicating log in. So, okay, sorry. Maybe I didn't get your email right. Let me try again. Wonder why it's giving me that error. Is everybody getting this error, invalid login? Are you getting, you can actually unmute, you can unmute and just, the microphone can be going around so that I can get your concerns. Let me just stop sharing. I want to check the list I used. So I can see we are also on our screen. I want to hear a success story of anybody who has logged in.
Hi, so I've logged in and I'm looking at the track 1 training, South Sudan, like the course material, the first one and the second one.
Good. So who am I speaking to? Sorry, you can introduce yourself.
Adeng Maik.
Oh, thank you so much, Adeng, for that. So you're in the right place. So anybody else who has succeeded? Because I was desisting from moving on to the next step until all of us have logged in. Anyone else who has succeeded? Yes, I can see some hands up. Who's that?
I think all of us are on the same page.
Great. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. So now I can move on to the next part.
No,
so
there are a few, there are a few people that are still, sorry.
Okay, and I would really love those who have succeeded to actually support the others. So I'm sure you were able to change your password. You are requested to change your password when you're able to do that. Is that true? Okay, so we can support the others so that we can all move together. Dennis, you can also help me with the statistics to know how many have already logged in and how many have not.
Barbara, for clarification, the computer we're using is for Dennis. The username is Dennis, but it's for the connector. We forgot to rename it. So if you refer to Dennis, he's just listening in. He's not at the venue. He's very far from here.
Oh,
so you could maybe be referring to Doot. Maybe.
Oh, Dude, okay. Thank you for that. Dude, you will help me with this activity. So just go around and make sure that everybody is successfully logged in. And I'm also sorry for calling you guys Sudan. Sorry, you guys are South Sudan. Thank you for that correction. Okay, so I believe we are on the same page. Dude, you can confirm to me that everybody has successfully logged in so that I can move to the next stage of the demonstration.
We're having connectivity problems, but from mobile side, most people can access it from the mobile side.
Perfect. So I think what I'll do, I can just move on to the next part of the presentation. We'll share a short video in our WhatsApp immediately we are done, so that to just reinforce the steps that we have, we are supposed to go through in terms of logging in. Now, for you to access the courses, because we have set up courses where we have uploaded materials for this training, on the menu bar, there is an option indicating My Courses. On the top menu bar, the first text is Skills Training, then Home, Dashboard, then My Courses. You able to see that menu item? If you're using the mobile phone, the menu item should appear on the left side. On the left side of the screen, it appears as 3 horizontal bars, which you just click on it, and you should be able to see the menu item indicating My Courses. And from there, My Courses, I want you to take note that you will be able to see track 1 and track 2. Ignore because mine is a bit different because I'm enrolled in so many courses. But for you, you should be able to see track 1 and track 2. And I would like a microphone to be given to one individual who is able to confirm that that is what you're able to see on your screen, please. Yes. So the lady in red, the beautiful black coat, please allow me just to call you the lady in red. So can you kindly confirm that you're able to?
Yeah, we're in track 1. There's course design, working with a Moodle course, multimedia design, and facilitating on online courses. Yeah.
Perfect. And can you confirm to me that everybody can be able to see that?
Yeah, so the ones that are next to me, I think 3 of them have done it. 3 are still trying to find it. Okay.
Okay. So for those who have done it, you will be trainer of trainers. You will be supporting the others during the asynchronous session. Is that okay? So what I want you to do next is very simple. In each of the track.
Sorry for.
Yes, you can go ahead.
Because we are out.
Let's go ahead.
So we are the network is.
Oh, it's a bit of a challenge.
Our side, we are still. Help our colleagues. That
okay.
Start from the second.
Yeah, okay. I note the challenge of the internet because you're also breaking a bit. Oops, and I think I've lost you guys. Good. Can you confirm that? Okay, you're back now. You're back now. So I'm waiting for confirmation from your end. There was some comment coming in before we were disconnected. You can proceed with your comment, please.
Computer are logging up out. Computer, internet on and off.
Okay. Good. Maybe you can bring me up to speed with the progress before I move on to the next set of instructions. Hello, dude. Okay, so I'm going to show you the next set of steps because I know I want us to redeem time so that you can have enough time in the afternoon. Are we okay? Can we move to the next step? Okay, so what I want you to do in the next step is once you have logged into the track 1, there's track 1 and there's track 2. So the instructions I'm going to give in track 1, you'll also follow them. The same instructions in track 2. So what you simply need to do in track 1, under each topic, we have posted the resources. So whatever Peter was demonstrating in the morning is this content, course design. So under course design, you'll have some videos you can watch during your own time, okay? During the asynchronous activity session. So you have some videos that you can watch. So this is like a slide. So you can watch all the 4 videos that have been provided. It gives an overview of what Peter taught in the morning. Then there's also some reading resources that are provided, okay? And we're also going to attach the PowerPoint presentation. So you can actually download these resources for reading. Remember, one of us asked whether you'll be having access to some reading materials. So these are the reading materials. Now, once you're done, there's a forum. We have the forum, this forum, discussion forum. So what we want you to do is click on the discussion forum, and inside the discussion forum, we have discussion topics that have been initiated, like this one which Peter has initiated, online course development. So what you need to do is simply click on the discussion activity and then scroll down and locate the tab indicating reply. Are you seeing this tab indicating reply? So we want you to contribute to the discussions after you have read and watched the videos and also reflecting on the presentation that has just been done by Peter. So you click on reply, then you post your reply here. So you post your comments, questions, reactions, reflections, experiences, because we also want you to share a lot, because some of us may have participated in online courses as participants. Maybe you have been in teams that are developing online courses, or this is your first time and you have so many questions to ask about this process. So we would like you to post your questions, reactions, experiences, reflections here. Once you have typed your comment, then click post to forum. So this way, you will have contributed to the discussion, online discussion asynchronously, and then we will be providing feedback. So we'd really like you to put in your reflections, questions, reactions, and all that, so we can be commenting on it. Then once you're done, you can go back up here and go back to the main course. So you will do the same also for the other topics. This is what we will be covering tomorrow, working with the Moodle course. So we indicated that we will learn more about this learning management system from an instructor's perspective on how you can use it innovatively to deliver your online courses. So we'll cover this tomorrow. So as soon as we're done with this, then tomorrow you can also come read through the resources that are provided and you can post in the discussion forum. Those who wanted to access the materials in good time before the session, you also have an opportunity to do that. Because I know there was a question that came through regarding the same. So that is it about navigating the platform. Maybe you may have some questions. I can answer that before I move to the final presentation on ACD 001. Any questions? Dot, you can coordinate the session, or you can even post it on the WhatsApp. So you can use the approach that is most convenient for you. And I hope Dut are very, yes, go ahead.
Yeah. So I'm still in my inquiry that we have a network problem here. internet problem is a challenging here. At time you are in a stage while we are still behind, searching for the stage that where you are. Once we wanted to pay attention, we'll go to you jump to another stage. So can you go slow, like you have started with us, so that to confirm before going to the next step? Otherwise, we are not going to be in one platform. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you for that reaction. So what I'm going to do, because I want to make the presentation, I'm going to share, immediately I'm done, I'm going to share a short video of the steps that we have shared during this presentation so that you can actually be able to watch it over and over, and it will be easier for you to, so that it just reinforces what we have covered. And thank you for that comment. So allow me to move to the presentation, the final presentation of the day, which is ACD 001. And then I will share I'll share the video, a 2-minute video, which will show you the steps that I have just taken you through. Is that okay? Great. I'm going to share it on WhatsApp so that you don't miss out anything. Okay, so regarding the whole training, the training, I'll give an overview. The training consists of 2 tracks. 2 tracks of, because it is targeting 2 very critical groups of individuals within our institution. So the track 1 is focused on the lecturers, the instructors, the people who are teaching. So they could be lecturers, they could be instructors, tutorial fellows. So this track is meant to equip you with the skills of designing and delivering an online course. So in the design part, Peter has already taken us through that process. And also you should be able to learn how to use the platform in the delivery. How do you use Moodle as a platform to deliver the online courses? And then also the skills on facilitating an online course. So what skills do I need as an instructor when it comes to facilitating an online course? Then we have track 2. So track 2 is targeting the technical team. These are our technical people, like the ICT directors, the librarians. These are people who work with systems within our institutions. And though we may not go into the hands-on of how to set up these systems, but we'll be focusing them on the critical aspects that they need to consider when they are rolling out e-learning or digital learning within our institution. So we'll be asking questions such as, what platforms do we need? How do we set up those platforms? Do we need integrations? Because sometimes in e-learning, the platforms need to be integrated to work effectively, to meet the outcomes that we intend. For example, the student management system may need to be integrated with the learning management system, and even further integrated with the library management system. So here we'll be getting them to reflect on the critical aspects that need to be considered when we are looking at setting up digital learning within our institution. Then we are looking at also the key driver. Whenever you have digital learning, it's important to ask whether you have policies that guide the implementation of digital learning. So we'll be looking at what are the critical policy areas, policy components. We'll also be looking at how do we assess our readiness as an institution when it comes to rolling out digital education or digital learning. Now we have coined this up into what we are calling a digital learning or digital education ecosystem. A digital education ecosystem. Why are we calling it an ecosystem? Because an ecosystem is different components that are interrelated, working together so that they can attain a certain outcome. So we're calling it a digital education ecosystem. So in this ecosystem, we'll be looking at systems, we'll be looking at policies, we'll be looking at capacity issues. So the various components that work together to make digital learning work. Now from the poll that we have done on WhatsApp, it's evident that a number of us do not have some of these systems in place. So by the end of this training or this workshop, you can now go back to your institution and you can put forth recommendations that your institution can actually use in terms of rolling out digital learning. And most of the IUCA members, a number of them have already set up digital learning departments, or what they are calling ODEL departments. Some of them are calling digital learning departments. They have coined different names for it, but it all has the same mandate, which is to enforce, to operationalize the use of technology in teaching and learning. In others, they're calling them technology-enabled learning departments. So there are many names that we're actually using for our departments, but they all have the same objective, which is to operationalize the use of technology in teaching and learning processes within our institutions. So that is why we're calling it a digital education ecosystem. So all the components that need to work together to operationalize the use of technology in teaching and learning. And that's why we actually developed the two tracks, so that they may look distinct, but they are very correlated in their operations. Now allow me to now share the presentation, and I promise only to take 10 minutes of your time so that I can let you go and read more about these resources we have shared online. Okay, so I'll put it into slide mode. Just give me a minute so that I can put it into slideshow mode. So the first course in the track 2 is ACD 001, Building a Digital University Policy Ecosystem for Quality. So I think I have in my preamble on my comments just before the presentation, they were just to get us to understand why policy. Why policy? Policy is important because policy guides implementation. And every time there's an issue, they'll always ask, what does policy say? What does the academic policy say? What does the examination policy say? So we all have policies in our institution, already a number of operationalized policies. But now we want us to reflect on our existing policies in line with digital learning. Now that we want to use technology to teach and learn, now that we are talking about these competencies, the digital skills and the competencies that we need to build within our staff, within our students, now that we're talking about the type of technologies that we need to deploy, do we have policies to guide this? And that is why the first part, I'm looking at policy domains. What are those policy areas? What are those policy domains or areas that we need to look at as you're moving on to digital learning? And you will realize that as digital learning within our institution grows or e-learning grows, these policies will keep evolving. In our experience interacting with institutions, a number of institutions actually had to review a lot of their policies after COVID-19. Or even during COVID-19, there were emergency meetings to even review some of our policies and processes to accommodate the use of digital tools and approaches in teaching and learning. So it's important to know the domain areas, the key areas that we need to look at and write policy statements around them. That's why we're looking at identifying the various components and within the domain areas that we need to write policy. Then it's also important to know that the policy has multiple stakeholders. So in most cases, you would find that when you're writing digital learning policies, it will touch on so many other areas within the university. It will touch on the academics, examinations. It will touch on systems. So you'll find that even some of the existing policies, such as ICT policy, such as examinations policies, all these policies will have to be relooked into to either modify them to cater to the use of technology. And that when we're talking about these various areas, then it means different stakeholders within the universities will need to be involved in the process of reviewing our existing policies, writing new policies, identifying policy gaps in the use of e-learning or digital learning or digital education. It's also important to understand our readiness. Are we ready as an institution? Are we ready? What is our readiness level when it comes to digital learning? In most institutions we interact with, we find that during COVID-19, they actually put the ICT department to spearhead the processes of digital learning. But then again, you'll find that those people of ICT may know how to set up systems, but they do not know anything on pedagogy, that aspects that require to be put in place for effective learning to go on online. Just as what Peter has taught us in the morning, course design. So you'd find that now they need to review even the HR requirements, because there are now new roles that are coming up that require to be considered as you're rolling out these departments. So when you're looking at readiness assessment, you will be looking at the skills assessment aspects, the HR requirements, the skills of the lecturers, the skills of the students, the support aspects that need to be put in place, the infrastructure that needs to be put in place. So many of these aspects that need to be put in place. So what is our readiness? So it's in this ACD 001, we'll be looking at assisting you to be able to carry out a readiness assessment of your institution. Then we need to know how to organize for self-assessment workshops and all that. So we're going to give you like a framework, how you can actually be able to carry out that readiness. Luckily, there are so many tools that have already been developed. There's what you call the e-learning maturity model you can use. Commonwealth of Learning have developed a toolkit, which can be very useful in terms of carrying out that self-assessment. So it helps you to look at various components or policy domain areas when it comes to digital learning. Then it has a metric which helps you to assess yourself. So you can even have a stakeholder workshop within your institution where you have people from different departments, the deans, the directors, the heads of departments, the registrar's office, the legal department also. So you have this multi-stakeholder approach where they come together and then use those tools, existing tools, to check on how ready are we when it comes to rolling out digital learning, if you intend to move in that direction. Then how to carry out that multi-stakeholder workshop. And it can also form a workshop where you can do the policy writing, where now you get the different stakeholders to write policy statements that need to be included in your existing policies or come up with the new policies. Then policies within our institutions, they have an administrative process of approval before they are operationalized. So now you take them through the dean's meetings, you take them through the Senate and all those, they're discussed. Sometimes in our institutions, we even have committees that are set up. So it depends on the approach of your institution. But what is important, it has to be multi-stakeholder, different people. And that's why you see within your sitting, I'm sure we have some registrars, we have some librarians, we have, they were asking ourselves, maybe in the morning you may have been asking yourself, now why am I in this training? I don't develop content, but you are very important in driving the digital learning agenda within your institution. And how do you do that? You do that through policy writing and operationalizing policies that support digital learning. And then you need to operationalize the policies. In operationalizing policy, sometimes you may be required now to come up with even toolkits, you may develop guides so that it helps in operationalizing the policies. Now, in many of our EAC countries, the regulatory body for higher education, some of them, they have already developed guidelines for self-assessment. They have already developed guidelines for institutions that are setting out e-learning. So if your institution, if your regulatory body has already done that, then it becomes very easy for you. You just be trying to align yourself so that you are aligned as you're setting up your digital learning departments. Now, I think it's important, now that we've been talking about digital learning ecosystem, it's important to understand what are some of those components that can actually form part of a digital learning ecosystem. Now, this we adopted from an existing literature. We are going to share the the literature. It's actually on the WhatsApp. No, sorry, on the learning management system. So this is part of, we extracted it from an existing literature that looked at digital learning ecosystem, and it actually divides the components into two, the biotic and abiotic components. So the biotic components are the people aspects of the ecosystem, and the abiotic aspects are the technology and infrastructure aspects of the ecosystem. Now, who are the people who are involved in the digital learning? Remember, we talked about it's a multi-stakeholder kind of ecosystem. It has many people working together. So we have the lecturers and instructors, the students are part of the ecosystem, the supporters, and these supporters are the teachers, the funders who are actually funding the ecosystem, the researchers, the consultants, because sometimes we may be involving consultants into this ecosystem, the stakeholders, the governing agencies and all that. So these are the biotic factors. The components may differ depending on how you have actually designed your ecosystem, but you realize there's a lot of cross-cutting aspects that are there. Then the abiotic factors such as the technologies, the infrastructure, the way the learning content is developed, designed, and then the administration, the structure of managing digital learning within our institutions. As I indicated, in most institutions, they have set up what we call a directorate. Just the way you have the ICT directorate, they have set up a directorate for e-learning. Some of them, they have housed their directorates within certain schools. Like, for example, I know an example such as Gulu University, they have housed it under School of Education. So that now the coordinator coordinating digital learning is under the School of Education. Others have put it under ICT. So the governance of digital learning depends on how you want to actually develop it in terms of you have conceptualized it. But it's important that we have some form of governance structure for digital learning that has been very well conceptualized. So I would challenge you now to look at different institutions of learning and how they have conceptualized digital learning and the components and how they have now put in the governance aspects and the policies that exist to support digital learning within the institution, especially if you're an administrator, if you're a DVC, if you're a registrar. It may be of great interest for you to actually be versed in terms of how digital education ecosystems have been set up in other countries and in other institutions of higher learning. It could also be good to benchmark with other institutions that are well established so that you can actually be able to have that experience of first-hand experience sharing from them regarding the process that they have undergone in setting up their digital learning ecosystems. Now, before I get to the other parts of the presentation, I'll just come to this point. Sorry. Now, remember, I talked about some tools that have already been developed in terms of doing a self-assessment. You need to know where are we as an institution? What is our readiness level? So this is an example of a benchmarking toolkit developed by Commonwealth of Learning. It is a self-assessment tool. What they have done is they have recommended the 10 key domain areas. So these are components that need to be in digital learning. And in each domain area, they have actually prepared the Likert scale for grading yourself. Okay, so for each, like for example, if it is on strategic plan, so in your university strategic plan, do you have any aspects of digital learning within your university strategic plan? And then they help you now identify the key areas within the strategic plan that touch on digital learning, and you're able to rank yourself in a Likert scale of 1 to 5. So based on your Likert scale of 1 to 5, then you're able to know whether your strategic plan as an institution caters for any elements of digital learning. When it comes to IT support, because when you're using technology in teaching and learning, then the support aspects for both the learners and the instructors comes into play. So do you have, or have you developed a learner and instructor support strategies for adoption of digital learning. And they have actually put up those metrics that you can actually rank yourself. So it's a very good tool. If you're having your internal workshop at an institutional level to assess your preparedness for digital learning, you can actually consider this Commonwealth tool. And it is actually, it is free to use and share. So they have actually developed it and made it free to use and share. We have attached it under the ACD track 2, ACD 001, which is the first topic. We have attached the tool there. So after this session, you can take time to read through that tool, especially if you're keen on driving the digital learning agenda within your institution. So they have actually various domain areas, and these domain areas are the various components of the digital learning ecosystem and how you can rank yourself. After ranking yourself, you can actually develop a chart like this one, which shows each component, and it shows you the preparedness level. So you'd find that like here, human resource training, there's high preparedness level, but under leadership, there's so little preparedness level because maybe they don't have a governance structure for e-learning within their institution. So you can, and if you present such a graph to anybody, then that person will be able to quickly diagnose the challenges or the gaps in your institution when it comes to preparedness for digital learning. Then even those gaps can then help you to further go and review your policies and develop or review some of the existing policies to support digital learning initiatives within your institution. So I would recommend that you go download this. It's called the TEL Benchmark Toolkit. The TEL stands for Technology Enabled Learning Benchmark Toolkit. So it's one of the toolkits that have been developed to assist institutions, Commonwealth institutions, in terms of carrying out a readiness assessment for digital learning within their institutions. Great. At this point, I don't want it to be a monologue. I'd like to get reactions from at least 2 members. Dut, I would like you to move around with the microphone so that we can get reactions from the team. So please welcome and make you can make your reactions. So I can see the poll is going on. We have 8 of us who have actually answered. So yes. So maybe we can hear from Dr. Bruno. Dr. Bruno, welcome. And you can give your remarks and possibly share your experience regarding digital learning and a snapshot of your institutional preparedness when it comes to digital learning. Welcome.
Thank you so much for what you have just told us. And I think it's very important that what you have learned will be a way forward that we shall be able to implement, taking into consideration the benchmarks that we have just learned. I think we have never carried out such an assessment, but it will be very important for us to do so. Currently, we have a very good ICT center. We also were able to install learning management systems, but I think our problem has been preparation in terms of human resource. I think many of our lecturers have not been developed. I mean, their capacities have not been developed on how to use the learning management system that we have in our computer lab. And I think that's a way forward that we'll be able to handle in the nearest future. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for that. I believe you may need to review your poll and indicate, yes, you have a learning management system. So which university is that, if I may ask, please?
Okay, that is the Catholic University of South Sudan.
Oh, Catholic University, great, great. So you have a learning management system, but from the benchmarks, you can quickly identify that human resource and possibly even leadership. You may need to reorganize your leadership so that you have a department to spearhead, just from a snapshot. Okay, maybe we can have another one. So at this time, we can have a lady. So we can have Miss Irene. Miss Irene, Mrs. Irene. Mrs. Irene, you can go ahead and give your remarks.
Yeah, thank you so much for really taking us well. Yeah, on digital learning, with my own experience, sometimes we really want to bring in this, but the challenge we are facing with our learners, there are very many. And also in most cases, they don't have access to computers. Even getting a smartphone is not an easy thing. So even when they are doing their research, some of them lag behind. And when you try to ask, they will explain to you, I don't have this. And for sure, right now, the situation we're in, if affording transport to come to class or even having a meal in a day is hard. So getting a computer or a smartphone is very hard for them. So I'm really seeing it may take a while, but of course we have to make sure we also tap them to get used to that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So you're identifying what you call the digital divide as one of the challenges. By the way, once you do your self-assessment, you'd also be able to identify the challenges. So it's also a way of doing the SWOT. So you know your strengths, weakness, opportunities, and threats. So just like Ms. Irene has put it, so one of their threats would be the digital divide, whereby some people have devices, others do not. That inequality in terms of resource availability. So it also gets you to understand what are the threats to the efficient rollout of digital learning within our institutions. And just like Dr. Bruno, you have put it correctly. So one of the threats in your institution would be that you do not have what? Do not have human resource and the staff capacity in terms of digital learning. So maybe I can give one more person before we wrap it up with the final part of my presentation. So at this time, I would, Mr. Rob, you're first on my list. So we cannot close this session until you say something. Mr. Rob, welcome. Yes, Mr. Rob, welcome.
Generally, the university I come from that hasn't yet established this system, but we look to establishing it in the near future if things get well. Okay. We are used to this manual kind of presenting work, and system is not yet in place. So there are so many things to work on. So with time, things may change, and we may work things out. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So for you, I believe this training is very important. Now you can go and give advisory guidelines to your institution in terms of the steps, in terms of rolling it out. Instead of just going and putting up a learning management system, you now have a holistic view of what needs to be put in place for you to efficiently run digital learning. I will open up the space for 2 more people because I can see people are really excited and I can see people need to make comments. So Dut, you can help me give the microphone to at least 2 people so we can hear at least.
Hi, good afternoon once again. I'm Adeng. So one issue that I can identify with the online learning system, we do have some courses that are practical, digitalized. I teach journalism and media, and one of the courses that are really very technical is digital media, which is basically something that is supposed to be fully online. We do have a number of computers, and there is internet, there is Wi-Fi available in parts of our department, so students can access that. As Irene mentioned earlier, the numbers are really very big, so it's not enough computers for everybody. But then the other issue is that these are compulsory courses, and by the time you're studying digital media, we'd assume that you already know how to use the computer, you know how to like surf the internet on your own, and now you're at the stage of building a website and putting media content on a website. But then the students would really take us all the way back to teaching them the ABCs of using a computer, because some of them have not had experience in high school using any sort of electronic gadgets, let's say smartphones or laptops or anything. So instead of teaching the course, you go back to teaching people how to use the machine itself, and then how to do anything on the internet, and then how to build a website and how to create media content on the website. We do have a And now the technical course, which is mobile journalism, and at the same time, this is something that mainly done on smartphones, and that's something that the university cannot provide for everyone. And they're required to do it is also compulsory. So we have a lot of courses that are really very advanced. This is what people are teaching currently in the rest of journalism universities around the world. But at the same time, there is a gap because high schools are really very, maybe for a more of a politically correct term, they have like a very poor infrastructure, limited resources and all. And these people are admitted into universities that require a lot of technical skills, like basic ICT skills. So this is a huge gap, and I would like to maybe seek an advice here, because we do have educators that are very good at these digital skills. They're really very good at teaching that, but you have to work with somebody who have the basic knowledge of skills. So there would be a need for digital literacy, I think, or something before people get to university. So I think I would need a technical advice on this. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. So I love that input, that digital literacy, and you're right, digital literacy is very, very important. But what I would advise is that possibly you may need now to look at a way of facing the skills, making it a phased approach of attaining the skills. So under IT support, when you're assessing, you look at one of the areas that you'd be assessing was how you do learner preparation for digital learning. How do you? It means your institution has a gap. They need to know how or put in place measures of how to do learner preparations for digital learning. So I know there are many questions, but I would request, because I can see we are about to have our lunch, and I don't want to eat into your lunchtime. So I would want you to post your comments in the WhatsApp, because I can see you have very good comments. So Aden, I want you to put your comments on the WhatsApp. So all of us who need to comment, we can actually continue the conversation on WhatsApp, because that input is very, very important. All your voices are very, very important. Is that okay?
Hello,
okay.
Good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon.
Yeah, yes, I'm called Mr. Cholplibdut.
Yes.
The procurement specialist and admission officer, Star International University. I would like to apologize for coming late due to some circumstances. I'm so excited for this very program. Actually, it has highlighted some of the key factors for long-distance learning students, because our universities, we have different branches, and it is actually very difficult for some of us to connect a tutor to the student. And this is the demand for so many students across South Sudan. And I'm so happy about this program, or about this initiative, where South Sudan has been added in this very, very beneficial program, which can benefit our people across South Sudan. What I've learned from this program, it can help a lecturer to at least give service online without any difficulties, because it can sharpen someone's communication skills and ready to solve any kind of problem that may arise at all different ages. So thank you so much for this very program.
Thank you. Thank you for those comments. So for the rest of us, we can actually, are you able to hear me, by the way? I hope I'm clear. Dude, please confirm that you're able to hear me clearly. Hello?
We can hear you. We can hear you, please.
Okay, thank you.
We can hear you, please.
Okay, so for the rest of us, please let's comment on WhatsApp. Let's use the WhatsApp space and put our comments there and feedback. Now, I'd just like to give two final parts of my presentation. Now, I indicated that in some countries, they have created what we call a self-assessment guide. So this is an example of a self-assessment guide that was created for Kenyan universities. And as you can see in the guide, it has provided all the critical areas that our institutions should assess themselves in terms of readiness for digital learning. So it standardizes the assessment process for all universities. It also helps in terms of uniformity, in terms of the implementation across our institutions. Then it is also the foundation for accreditation, so that if our provider, our regulatory body wants to accredit, then they can use that. So we realize assessment, self-assessment guidelines are very, very critical. And it may be an important part of discussion for institutions in your country, guided by the regulatory body of the universities. Now, the other is in terms of operationalizing now the digital learning. In terms of operationalizing, you realize you also need to develop different guidelines, different guides. These are guides are like documents. Like for example, I've had quite a number of us talking about large classes, big classes, and you may want to use e-learning. So now that you have the policies, which are statements, now you need to operationalize. So you may need to develop guidelines for online delivery of large classes. See, like this one, online delivery of high enrollment courses. You may need to have an e-learning service charter or digital learning service charter. How are students supported? How are student supported? You need to develop guidelines for student support. So once you have begun to have the policies, operationalizing those policies requires that as an institution, you develop documents to guide the stakeholders in the ecosystem, digital learning ecosystem, in terms of operationalizing different aspects of digital learning. So part of, so this becomes a very critical part in terms of once you have a digital learning department set up. In terms of the stakeholder engagement, I think it's important that I need to say this. So the stakeholders usually discuss the self-assessment report. Then in homogeneous groups, they help in developing the policy statements. Then in those policy statements are discussed intensively within the multi-stakeholder groups. And then they are used to review and develop policy statements. So one of the key takeaways I want you to get from this is that policies for digital learning should be multi-stakeholders. All the departments, very critical departments, should be involved in this process. So I want you to go and go to the track 2 course on the LMS, and you will read more about. So under the track 2, sorry, I'm just trying to coordinate myself and quickly. So under the track 2, the track 2 course, you should be able to get a lot of resources. So under this building a digital university policy ecosystem, so we have quite a number of resources that we have shared, including a case study of an ecosystem that has been designed for one of our institutions. So you can actually read through a lot of resources provided. And further to that, we have a discussion forum, and we have some discussion areas where you can contribute to the discussions in the afternoon. So thank you. That is the end of my presentation on ACD 001, which is on building a digital university policy ecosystem. And I'm happy that we were able to resonate, and it made a lot of impact to us. So thank you so much. At this point, I'd want to wind up the session, but before I wind up, and so that you go for lunch and then go online, do we have at least one final comment? Just one.
Yes, how are you?
Yeah. Yes.
I'm good. I'm great.
Yeah, so thank you so much, Adeng. I've seen your contribution and your question. I've also seen Mr. Chol Agaran. Thank you. I've seen your comment on the WhatsApp. We will be responding to those comments along with my colleague, Peter Kiprotich. So any other person before I lock out anyone? Yes, go ahead, sir.
Yeah. Thank you so much for the presentation. It was actually a quite learning presentation than I was expecting. I'm actually one of the ICT technicians at the University of Juba, and actually last year we were supposed to implement learning management system for the University of Juba. We actually developed a system for it, but it was not housing the entire campus because we wanted to incorporate the HR, the finance, all university system into one component. So it was delayed for this year, but hopefully maybe at the end of this year, University of Juba will be able to have a campus management system of which it will have this e-learning as one of the component of the online learning platform. So actually, like, I know how to develop system, but I never knew how sophisticated it is. But today I was able to learn a lot of the things concerning the management, which are the two components of the learning management system, the people part and then the technology part. So I would like to say thank you so much for the presentation, and learn a lot.
Thank you so much. That's a good one. And we will keep interacting within the WhatsApp and within the forums so that you can learn more about the administration and management of digital learning within our institutions. At this particular point, I think we can break for lunch. And after we break for lunch, you can continue online, okay? Go online on the learning management system, read the resources that are provided, watch the videos that are given, and participate in the forums. We will be responding to your forum contributions. That's okay, and answering your questions. So thank you so much. So, Dut, I think we can wind it up for, at that today, and then we meet again tomorrow at, is it 8 p.m. or 9 p.m.? And sorry for that, 9 a.m. Sorry for that. We meet tomorrow again at 9 a.m. I can see someone is laughing at me there, sorry. Yeah, so bye everyone, and we will share the recording. Huh? Thank you so much. There's someone with the microphone? Someone who's saying something? Bye. See you tomorrow.